A very good morning to everybody watching this video. Everybody else can have an okay morning, I guess. Today's video is about how wherefore does not mean where. It means why. I think like as English speakers, modern day English speakers, we see wherefore and we just think, oh, that means where, but they just add the for on the end to be fancy. But it's like, no, and I'll tell you how I realized this. I was reading the Bible, King James Version, fancy talk, and it was like blah, 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 wherefore. So I read it as like where, and then I'm listening, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't make sense. If that means where. So I'm like, what does wherefore mean? So then I looked it up. Wherefore means why. And it's like, oh, I don't see why they would do that, but whatever. But now that actually makes a lot of sense when you think it back. Because when you think back to Romeo and Juliet, how I think it's the balcony scene, and Juliet's all like, oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thy Romeo? Anyway. And she's not asking, where are you, Romeo? She's asking, why are you Romeo? As opposed to any other name that's not Romeo. Because then she goes on to, a rose by any other name would smell as sweet, right? Because she's a Capulet and he's a Montague. And their families don't like each other. So she's saying, why can't you be anybody else instead of Romeo Montague, right? And now, like, I have a completely different understanding. Because the last time I tried to read Romeo and Juliet was when I was in 9th grade, and I had to read it for my English class. But now, it's like, oh, she wasn't asking where he was. She was asking why he was. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, oh, that's tough. So, anyway, I don't know if this will help anybody else, but the more you know.